Hello YouTube! What you see here is not a new acquisition. If you've watched my emergency light and exit sign slideshow from a long time ago, then you'll recognize this, and you'll also know that this has been a topic of conversation in my videos a lot. This here in front of you is a best lighting R-1-B, of course, because it's a black housing unit. This unit is what I used to use up here where my dual light EV4 DI is working perfectly right now. Used to be up in that area before I acquired my Lithonia 6 ELM2P and put it in that area. And let me just tell you, I thought that I retired this unit because the board fried itself. Well, in looking at this, it's pretty easy to see why this unit is not in service anymore. You can see here artifacts for something plastic that broke off. I'm not sure what happened to this. I honestly can't remember. But I know it was up on my wall at one point in time. And you can see also down here a place where these little latches would go to keep the unit secured to the back plate. And by virtue of this thing being a cheap $20 unit, those things sheared off. And that's what got this unit retired, because it's time to take a look at this unit, because obviously if it's retired because it's cheap and it breaks easily, then I can go ahead and give you guys a look at this. First of all, that's one of the reasons that I don't particularly care for these units. A lot of the parts on these are just downright cheap. But if you look inside these heads and take the cap off, inside these things are mounted to a plastic reflector. What happens when you attach these things to a plastic reflector? The light kind of goes inside the head and dies. And what that does is it causes the light not to diffuse as well as it would if you had one of these behind it. I don't particularly know how much more they'd have to charge for this unit if they put these behind the heads, but really these just don't spread the light as effectively as they should. And you can just see with the normal AC light being on how well these little plates reflect light. And I know the camera is not going to do it as much justice as it should, but that's how that works. Go ahead and flip this over, and you can see here, this is what this unit looks like on the business end, which is the inside. This is the board that runs the unit. They did have the good sense to put a transformer in it, but it's a very cheap quality transformer. It's not built all that well, and it seems to be flaking apart on this side right here, and this unit really wasn't used all that long, to tell you the truth. And then right down here you have a 25 volt 100 microfarad capacitor that controls this whole stinking board. All of us who work on computers, what happens if one capacitor that's vital to the working nature of that computer blows? It kills the whole light unit. And once that's dead, you don't have a light anymore, and when it comes to a computer sense, you don't have a computer anymore. That is, I believe, a 40C rated capacitor, of course no name brand because this is a cheap unit. Why is that bad? Well, this transformer right here is going to generate about that much heat inside this unit. So really it's only a matter of time until that capacitor blows. Who knows how long it'll take it, but eventually it's probably going to go. And don't think that's an offbeat problem, because I've seen these units just completely dead that don't even work. I've captured them in restaurants and other places like that. And I'd say the likely culprit was the capacitor up there just going kaput and blowing. And then down here, we'll go ahead and zoom in, and it tells you to replace this battery with a no-name battery brand with a 6 volt 4.5 amp hour rating. tells you the battery will discharge for a minimum of 90 minutes in emergency mode. For my tests with this unit when it was in service, 90 minutes is probably the maximum amount of light you can expect out of this thing. So if you need light lasting longer than 90 minutes, you're going to need a unit of this type with remote capacity, and that'll cost you about 20 extra bucks. And at that cost, you might as well go ahead and buy yourself a dual light LZ2 unit or something to that effect, because that's going to give you 90 minutes or more, and this is going to just cut off right at 90 minutes, and it's not going to last any longer. You'll notice these little clips right here. Here's the one leading in from the board, and here's the one going to the battery. Of course, I've already told you what it is right then and there. That is the connector for the battery. A lot of contractors will install this unit and not connect the battery. And to show you how bad the documentation is, it's on the inside of the plate here. And I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this. It's right in there, it's engraved in the plastic, and I know you can't really see it that well. But the warning to connect the battery is on the inside of the housing. Not in the manual, on the inside of the housing. This is how this connects. You connect your wire leads, and then that plugs in right here on that board. And if this is buried down beneath the battery, or caught up in this mess of wires down here, the battery won't get connected and this unit won't even work. If you don't connect those, it's not going to work. So let me show you what happens if this unit doesn't have its battery connected, and you probably know what's coming here. You can see that AC on light's on. I'm hitting this test button and nothing's happening. And if you remember that connector from the last part of the video, lots of times contractors just simply forget to install those or connect those or don't connect them. And I've heard some outlandish stories that I just want to throw out there. I was talking to another emergency light fan who actually works in the industry and distributes the emergency lights, and he told me the story of a contractor going into a shopping center and installing units similar to these, and the battery's not getting connected. Well, when the power outage finally happened and they needed the emergency lights, they didn't come on. So they called the contractor back, and the contractor said, "Oh, if it's light outside, your emergency lighting doesn't need to work. These things have photocells in them, and they won't turn on if the lights are coming in through the window when the power goes out." And I will tell you what, that is technology far more expensive than anything in this unit. That is non-existent technology. The emergency lighting, according to the NFPA code, has to come on whether it's light outside or not, has to last for a minimum of 90 minutes, and it has to work. I mean, it just simply, absolutely, positively has to work. So if you get a contractor coming in and telling you, well, if it's light outside, your emergency lighting doesn't have to work, make them install your emergency lights the right way. Better yet, get a contractor who's going to do the job right. Now, here's what these lights are supposed to do when you have a good contractor. Now, obviously, this camera is giving off a higher brightness of these heads than what they actually are. These are 5.4 watt incandescent wedge-based lamps. And by nature of that lamp type, a lot of them just aren't very bright, especially these cheap ones. They're engineered to a lower quality, and a lot of the illumination gets taken out by the heat in the bulbs.